Hey everybody, Wildman Wes here, and welcome to the Worst State of Movies, where we look at 50 movies made in the United States and we decide whether or not they have earned the title for being the worst movie made in that state. You know the drill, folks. Time to get in the whirly-bird and see where we go next. We now venture out to Nebraska. Lots and lots of corn. I see it back and forth whenever the family and I drive from Iowa to Colorado. But I digress. We haven't done a horror film in a while. I know Shocktoberfest was recently with 31 movies based in the 80s. And the movie today is a sequel to a movie that started out in the 80s. Nebraska. Horror films. Corn. You probably figured it out already. Today we're going to be talking about 2001's Children of the Corn Revelations. This was during the time when Miramax and Dimension Films were snatching up any property they could, especially in the horror genre that had an established franchise, Halloween being one of them, when they started off with Halloween 6 and then going on to Halloween H2O, Halloween Resurrection, and Sybil Halloween, and all that. Wes, dude, what is up with you and this getting Charlene your high horse here? Just leave it alone. The movie starts off with an elderly woman in a condominium that is pretty much being evicted and ready for demolition. Has a psychotic outbreak after having a nightmare about some really disturbing images, and we don't see her after that. Fast forward a little bit, her granddaughter Jamie comes to see where she's at, hasn't found her, goes to the police. They are not really wanting to deal with it, so she's going to go back and investigate the condo a little bit more. She comes across a couple kids that are wearing farmer's clothes that seem a little bit off-kiltered, very pale and demonic looking. She also comes across a priest while going back to the condo as he looks upon a chalk-drawn pentagram. Foreboding. When Jamie heads back to the condo, she sees the island of misfit neighbors. We've got a stoner, we've got an exotic dancer, we've got a get-off-my-lawn paraplegic, and we also have a paranoid and delusional SWAT team member of a possible landlord. When Jamie goes to investigate a little bit more in the condo, she goes to the basement and sees a greenhouse-type room where corn is being grown. Not sure what to do about it, but she gets caught by the paranoid landlord and told to never go in that room again. Well, she doesn't go in that room again, and while she's still trying to investigate the disappearance of her grandmother, the neighbors start getting picked off one by all the quasi-children of the damned. The detective finally starts realizing that Jamie may be telling more of the truth than he thinks when they come across some newspaper clippings of her grandmother when she was a little girl, part of a child group that did bad things to adults in Gatlin 60 years before. Dun dun dun! Now we come full circle! The newspaper clippings also talk about a boy named Jonas that was in charge of the whole group, and he was never seen after a terrible fire that took the lives of many of the kids in the group. And then Jamie finds out why her mom and dad actually died in an accident, and this movie got really, really convoluted very, very quickly. Jamie eventually approaches all of the children of the corn, and I'm not going to let you do any more. They turn the gas on the pilot lights in the condo, and eventually she lights a corn wreath ablaze, and kaboom! Oh my gosh, this movie. Oh wow. I also forgot to mention that the priest came by to give her communion wine before the final battle. But we're going to get into that in a little bit. I'm just wrapping it up because this movie was literally like the condo exploding at the end. Just straight up condo fire, dumpster fire. This was rough. We're going to talk about what I like and what I don't like now before I get really on to talking about how bad I didn't really like the movie. Oh, we're going to talk about I get the concept that they put corn wreaths on the doors of the people that were going to become victims later on, but they didn't really specify it at first, and eventually they tried to make this a thinking movie without giving you a chance to think. Oh boy. Big question I've got to ask though, the priest that you see at the beginning, where Jamie sees him looking at the pentagram and then gives her communion wine, and then leaves before the condo blows up. You don't see him after that. I literally waited until the end of the credits to see maybe if there was a post-credit scene where we'd see him. You didn't see him. So, it's kind of one of those George Wendt moments in House. Like, what the hell happened to him? He just disappeared. Poof. A couple of the other things that I'm just going to rattle off real quick that really just made me raise an eyebrow. The obvious random fan service, we have to have that. We got to have fan service in horror films. It's like, just hand in hand. You got to have it. You got to have it. Quite a few nods in this movie where I get what they were trying to do, but it just really didn't work out as well as planned. They took nods and inspiration from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and with the dreamlike sequences of trying to have either premonitions or even have a moment in a dream where something real can happen, it became very Elm Street-esque. Invasion of the Corn Elm Street Snatchers. I don't know. Don't mind me. We also got to talk about the special effects. There barely was any. I think the only part of special effects that I saw in the entire film was when the exotic dancer is taking a bath and she's attacked by a Corn Cthulhu. That's about the best way I can describe it. Let's talk about what I like now. I did appreciate that at the beginning of the film when Jamie meets two of the initial children, they're in a convenience store and there's a arcade cabinet of Sega's House of the Dead. She gives them some quarters, they start playing, and they start going at it like they're pros. I thought that was kind of funny because it made me think of the first time I played House of the Dead as a kid. Now I gotta backtrack a little bit because there was two other things that I did not appreciate. This movie, the first on-screen death took about over a half hour for it to happen. There was a lot of just really most movies, most horror movies, if my mind serves me correctly, they're like Broadway musicals. You can't go more than 10 minutes without a song. You can't go 10 minutes without a victim. That's just how these movies roll. As I mentioned about what happened to the priest was played by Michael Ironside. He had the most notoriety of the cast from this film, if my mind serves me right. I believe, Kyle Cassie was in this movie. I'm trying to remember exactly what he was in, but he's very familiar looking. But still, Michael Ironside had been around for quite a number of decades before this movie came out, and you only gave him, barely 10 minutes of screen time. Ugh. Yeah, you messed up there. Time to grade this film. Obviously, you have heard what I have said, and I bring forth to you my grade. Children of the Corn Revelations. And then some. Well, we hope you enjoyed my frustration and anxiety-riddled fury on this review of Children of the Corn Revelations. If you've seen this movie and you agree with me, leave a thumbs up. If not, I totally understand. I left out a lot just because they left out a little bit in this movie, to the point where they didn't really have many kids showing up until the end. That's another reason why Okay, moving right along. Make sure that you share on social media, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for more episodes of The Worst State of Movies, What's Your Poison, Game Central Station, or some of the other stuff we think of coming down the line. Until then, I'm Wildman Wes. We'll see you next time. I gotta find something better to watch so I don't give it another bad grade.